All right. So once again, good afternoon, programmers. So today we'll talk about arrays. Okay. So let's go ahead to our IDE. So last time we talked about what they call this one methods. No, different types of methods. So we have user defined and predefined methods. So those that are uh, I mean, the predefined methods are methods that are already built in and it's available for us to use. So when we talk about user defined methods, these are the things that these are the methods that we write, and these methods can be called anytime if we want to. Okay, just like built-in methods. But of course, user-defined methods must be created first before we can actually call it. So one of the most important thing in programming is, of course, organizing your program into methods. So this is very important because as we get along with our program, we don't just settle on a one method which is our main. We'll have to organize our codes into methods. So that's why it's very important to know these concepts. So there are also different kinds of methods, which are namely methods with void methods, or methods that does not return any value, and this could be this could have a parameter or does it have any parameter. So this is defined by a void method. Now, when we talk about um, another like method, this we call it type method, or this methods returns any value. So it can return a string, a double, character, float, long, byte, depending on what would you like to achieve, what would you like uh, to this method to return to. Okay, so and this could also have either parameter, or this could have no parameter at all. Okay, so but most likely when we talk about what they call this one, uh, value returning methods, most likely this some of I mean most of the methods that are built in Java are usually value returning methods. Okay, so now um, to actually check no what are those methods in the string. Let's say for an instance we have string str dot. So usually when we visit the methods containing in a string, it has usually what they call this one. This is what they call this one, Java documents. No, as in a programming language, it's very important to also look at the documentation. So, and Java has this mechanism to actually uh, define a method with an explanation in it, just like what you have seen here. No, so upon what they call this one, upon mouse over in a certain method, you can see here that there is an explanation. So like for an instance, car at, so it says here that returns the character value at the specified index, and then an index ranges from 0 to length minus 1. So as we believe that car at would actually uh, filter out, or would actually visit a string value individually using an index, so from 0 to length minus 1. And then it's also explained here that there are parameters, the index, and then it returns the character value. So this one is helpful in terms of explaining what your method is all about. Okay, so one thing also to look at is of in that particular method now is that as you can see right here, this is the name of the method, car at, and you will also see here a a parameter. So index. So by the way, there are two types of parameters, the formal parameter and actual parameter. Of course, we have discussed this in our programming one. Formal parameters are the parameters that we define in creating a method. So usually that's something that you put in your method as a parameter when you define it. So example, we have car at index. So meaning to say index is the formal parameter with the type int. Okay. And then you have seen here after the column, you have here char or car. So this means that this particular method is going to return a value which is of car type. Okay, so this is how you get to have an overview of a certain method. So we have here a string. String is the name of the class where this method belongs to. Okay, so by knowing how to read a certain method, or just like what I have actually shown to you, is that this will help you this will help you improve your programming without even going to internet, no, without even looking at a certain information into Google, no, or Google. It depends on what language you use, no, or what accent you use. So, like you went to Google just to Google something, and uh, I mean, this one would help you to prevent from doing that. No, I mean, something na dili na nimo siya need, because this one has already an explanation, and you can even understand what this is all about by just looking at a certain method. So let's look for another one. We have here equals. So as you can see, equals are used to test whether a string is, we get to compare two strings if they are equal or not. So usually it will return true or false. So true if both are equals, false if they are not. So upon seeing it, the explanation compares this string to the specified object. The result is true if and only if the argument is not null and is a string object that represents the same sequence of character as this object. So if it's true, return. Okay? O true. Okay? Return siya og true. Otherwise, it returns false. So based on the method that you have here, object and object is the type. So by the way, kana si object is the super parent of all classes that we define in Java. So super parent means every time you create a Java class, it has to there is an invisible or invisibility na we actually inherit a uh, a certain class, and that's actually object oriented principles. So we'll talk about it once you once we have OOP, just in case you pass this course. No, that's the next course you will have after this. So we'll talk about those concepts. So object and object. So an object is the formal parameter, and then if you are going to use this one, like calling this one, and then you put a value, then that's the actual parameter. Okay. So anything that we put as an argument or parameter when we call a certain method, that's an actual parameter. Okay? So formal parameter is upon this defining the method. So Boolean, it means it returns true or false. So this is the return type. So basically, this is a value returning method, and it is in a string type. I mean string class, no, under string class. And you have actually a lot of what they call this one, methods inside of this character. So you have is blank, is empty. So this is so let's go back to char int. So this is value returning with parameter. So equals is value returning with parameter. Now let's have some of methods here. So this is value returning without parameters. So it returns boolean, but you don't specify if it doesn't require you any parameter. So this is basically non-parameterized method, but it returns a value. So the same thing with this empty. Length. So the length is also a value returning method, and it does not require any parameter. So basically, this is non-value value returning method without parameter. So it returns the length of the character or the string, or returns the length of the string. So the length is equal to the number of Unicode units in the string. And you can see here a lot of methods. So, yan, to lowercase, it's a value returning without parameter, to uppercase, and so many more. Okay, so that is the methods inside of a string. And we still have more, no? Daghan pa tayo, like sa scanner, next int, next double. So usually next int, next double, these are value returning method without parameter. So that's under scanner. Okay, so why I discussed that, it's because I want you guys to familiarize those different types or kinds of methods. Now, since we already talked about this methods particularly, no, and as you can see, we have here string. By the way, methods can be static or non-static. So when we talk about static methods, yan, so this method can be called automatically, no, using the class, just like what we did here. So I guess I was able to explain it before. So let's say you have here static reverse, and the other one um, is this from 2552A na discussion or 2552B? Anyway, so I have here two methods here, non-value, but it's a static, and I also have here a method which is non-static. So that's another thing, no? So reverse, and the other one is reverses. No, it's a non-static. So this would mean that if you're going to call a that method, which is a non-static static method, just like what we can do here now. So I'm going to, so methods that, so there, so this is the method, so reverse. So it's a method that does not have any parameter, and it's a void method, so meaning it does not return any value, and it's under method class. So just like what we did earlier sa string, no? So na siya under siya sa katina na string, and then if iyang value type, either mag-return siya or not. And then what they call this one? As you can see, static methods can be called right away using the methods. So I can prove to you that as you can see here, as you can notice, we have three methods here. The reverse, which is defined as static. The reverses, which is defined as non-static, but it's a string also. And then another reverse. So this concept also is under OOP na duha ka reverse na method, pero lahi-lahi siya type. So we call that as polymorphic methods. Okay? So pero i-discuss na nato na sa OOP. So right now, you have here methods that, so we can only call the one method because there's only one static method. Okay, so that's why we can only call reverse. Now, for the methods that are non-static, we'll need to instantiate. So this one is the instantiation of instantiation. So we'll need to instantiate the class to create an object. So the object is actually M before we can call those methods that are non-static. So basically, when we call those methods, we use the M, which is the object of method. So M dot. So if ever you have seen here, uh, what they call this one, various methods. these methods are actually, as I've told you, object is the super parent of all classes. Every time we create a class, it is going to inherit automatically object class. Okay, so this definitely object is a class in Java. Okay, so we are going. I mean, the class method is actually inherits object. So these methods here that are labeled as object, these are methods that are inherited. Okay, so we don't define this. These are built-in methods under objects, so automatically ma-call na to na siya. Okay, so we can have here equals, clone, get class, hash code. Usually these are used for mga uh, sa common to all, no? Every time mag-create a class. Okay, so then, the only thing na naata diri kung makita ninyo kaning methods, the thing that we have, the thing that it has, or the method that has labeled with methods are like four. So basically, because these are methods that we created in or under methods. So we have reverse, reverses, and reverse, and then we have also main because it's still under this method. So now this one right here, why reverse is also being called, no, nganong matawag man gyapon nato si reverse nga static man to siya. So basically it's still because it's part of the method. So matawag gyapon nimo ang static methods. Ang restriction lang sa static methods is, or static method is, you can call both. Wala restriction siya because you can call both using the method itself and the object itself. Okay, and the only thing na ano sa iya is when you call it using the method is it will give you a warning. So example, magbutang tadra. So mag-warning na siya like this one. So the static method reverse from the type method should be accessed in a static way. So gusto niya na dapat tawagon nimo siya like this. Delete siya with object. But if you're going to call the reverses, this would eliminate the warning. So as it is called properly, because reverses is actually a non-static method. Okay, so that's actually the difference between the two. So where can we see static and non-static methods? So where it is actually applied, so daghan, no? So show input dialog, yan, mga static na siya. Integer that parse in, okay, mga static na siya ng mga methods. Yan, mga double that parse in. Okay, anything na matawag nimo siya as using the class can be I mean, it's defined as static method. So, nana ang ano sa Java, the difference between static and non-static. Okay? So, I hope you will remember that and study that now kasi this will really give you a uh, just on this particular method concepts. No, so it's important to really understand methods in programming. No, in even in any different programming languages. Okay, so I guess that's it for the methods and our review. So, any questions so far? Hello,
Yes, sir.
wala.
Wala, sir. Wala, sir.
Unsa man ako ang nasakit or kamo? Nawa magtingog aning uban. What happened to you guys? Karen,
Sir,
Josh,
na-late.
Rogelio.
Na, na-late yung sunod, sir.
Sir.
Kay,
Oh, may
sugod
question?
ko sa plato.
Hmm. Salig kay Vince Lister? Ay, sakit na. Salig pa yung mga dean's lister, di naman agad, di na mo tubag.
Wala na sir, wala yung pangutana sir.
Okay, that's good. Okay, murag isa or duha ra mga estudyante diri amot ning uban. Sige, kung wala, it's okay. It means I explained it well. Okay. Yeah. So one more thing. Uh, saan na to? 2552A. What's that? 2552A, yeah. So, I know. So, 2552B pala yun. Kaya pala, you maybe are like wondering kasi 2552B yun na discussion. So, probably you don't see this that I demonstrated this one. So, I'm gonna show you one more no, idea of how is it possible na atong method siya explanation. So the the only way to do it is define your I mean create a a Java document above on that particular method. So example this one, static void reverse. Uh, this method reverses a string uh, reverses a string and is a static one. No? Sample na lang. And then, ayan. So, let's have another one dito sa PCAS. Kani. Example, kani si string reverse. So, this, kunya na lang ng param-param ha. Sige. So, like example, this method reverses a string versus a string that you pass through it. So, ano na lang. So, let's say, butang na to siya og at, let's say, parameter. So, ingon ta, the parameter is as str of string type. Okay? And then, pwede niyo abutangan og like, i-bold nimo ang string. Ayan. And then, pwede nimo i-italicize ning uh, str, no? So, you have here. Okay? And tapos, pwede tayo butang at return. So, pwede daw tayo magbutang return statement. So, this return is string. Sample, inana. Okay? So, now, kung atuan na siyang tawagon right here, no, sa ato ang main method. So, ato siyang butang dire. So, sa itong butangan, so methods that, so reverse. So, kung mapansin niyo na siya nabutang this method reverses a string and is a static one. So, mo na itong gi-define dire. Okay? So, pwede na niyo butang nga ginana, no? Okay, dire po, this method reverses, tawagon na ito na ang method string reverse. Okay? So, here, sorry, we have here M, then nasa baba. So, M dot reverse, kani siguro yun? Is this the one? Ay, this one pala. So, what happened? Wait. Oops. Reverse. M dot reverse. It doesn't show. Wait. Methods reverse. Okay. Try na to ng isa. Oh. Okay. So wait. This one supposed to work. Maybe because we don't create this as an abstract data type. Pero himon sa nato ning static kadiot lang para makita ninyo. Okay. So methods. Okay. So more kaya po na siya bisan dili static ha. So this may be ang reason is is what they call this one, wala naka-abstract data type. So naata rin abutang this method reverses a string that you have passed through it. So parameters, str, and then string. Okay? So there, no? And then pwede na, no need any siya, butangan nimo siya og string or bold. There is sa taas nato siya butang. Wait ha. This method reverses and then let's have a string. Gawin natin itong italicize. Ayan. And then let's have author. Let's say author. Yan. So let's say Marcel Baste. So let's check out there. So methods that reverses. So, sorry. Wait, method that reverses. Oh, why it does not work again? Wait. Gawas naman to ganina. Ayun. So, this parameter method reverses a string. Oh, tanan na bold, then na italicize. I-closing gay nako to. Kasi kung HTML tag mo din, no? Yeah, so things like that. No? You can actually do this in your method. So, okay? Yeah, that's it. No? So, natarong na. So, this method reverses, naka-bold a string, naka-italicize that you pass through it. So, then author, blah, blah, blah. So, you can actually put author every time you create a method. So, and that's owning something, no? I mean, if in the future mag-create na mo og sarili ninyong classes, maka API na mo, mag-ADT na mo, which is usually mo na ginabuhat jud sa industry, this is something na pwede ninyo i-personalize inyong program. Okay? So, like kinsa ang author and unsay ginabuhat sa method. Okay? So, that's it. And now, let's go to our main topic for today. So let's discuss about arrays. Okay. So arrays in Java is no difference sa sa C++. I mean, kung naaman, only a little bit. Okay. So let's have my arrays. Sa matong sana all gikilig katawa ra magkalit. Sige. Okay, so let's go directly to our main discussion. So wait lang, ako na lang tawagon po, paapilon akong 2552 BB. 2552 B. Okay. All right. Now, let's have arrays. So arrays basically are the same with other arrays in so many programming languages. So usually, pag mag-define ta og arrays, or when we talk about arrays, these are arrays are used to store data in a contiguous part of your memory that instead of defining a variable one by one, you can just define one single statement and it can store data in it, no? Many different data in it. So, and that's the advantage of array. Basically, it's storage, and then you can store as much as data as you want. Okay. So now, Array in Java can be defined or can be uh, instantiated like this one. So let's say, for instance, I have here array num equals new int. So I guess this is only something na different sa C++ is that kasi kung sa C++ you can just say something array of 10, something like this one, no? But in Java, you'll have to do something like this one. Yeah. So this is basically instantiating an array. So instantiating an num as an object because array in Java is considered as an object. So duha ni siya ka part in which parts rather in which num here is a variable and at the same time an object and at the same time is an array object. So again, you instantiate this as an array object and at the same time uh, defining how much it could actually store. Okay, so this is instantiating. So you can actually define an array, but you can do something like this. So this is like declaration only. So a declaration that you define an array object, but you never instantiated it to actually store as to how much it's capable of storing. Okay, and another way, another one is you have here, let's say val, and then you can what they call this one, you can store or initialize your array. So let's say we have it 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then let's say 10. So this is initialization. Okay, so you instantiate, you declare, and you initialize. So I guess it's pretty much understandable. Pag maingong taog in ani with values, you initialize something. No, you initialize your arrays. So of course, you will have to initialize values which are compatible with the type that you want to store. So and when you are going to do this, of course, it will give you an error because this would mean that your variable can store only in type, and therefore you can never initialize it with a decimal point. Okay, unless you change this to float or double. Okay, so float and double, of course, are flexible, so you can define either. This one should have f. Okay, so oh yeah, no. By the way, good thing that I have included float here. Uh, Another difference of float kasi when you define a float is it must have an f. Even you do something like this one. Float f is equal to 98. So this 98.7, okay? This would not be considered as a float if you don't put here a f. Okay? It's something na different sa double because you don't have to specify a double for label to be na as double siya. Okay? So yeah, that's it. And everything that you have initialized here must have float. Okay, it's something that different to double. Okay, so sample ana. Yeah. Okay, and yeah, so that's how you initialize your variable. Of course, if you go your array, of course, if you are using string, you will what they call this one, you will have to store string into that variable. So you can never store anything there. So it must be a string. You can store a number, but you'll have to put a double quotation as the delimiter, and then you put the number inside of that delimiter double quotation. Okay, so yeah, so let's have this one. Okay, sige. So let's say for an instance, I have here the the numbers. Ayan, di na lang ako erase, di rin lang ko sa baba. So let's say I have here int um, num r, and I'm going to define or put here a value. So let's say 2, 3, 5. 10, 6, 8, uh, and then 12. Okay. So the same with the C++ implementation. So it starts with a 0 as an index and it ends at length minus 1. So basically when we count this one out, this would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So basically the length of our array is 7 and the index of 2 is 0. Therefore, 4 is 1, 5 is definitely 2, and this is 3, 4, 5, and 6. So there is to prove to you that it's also implementing the same with others, no? So you can actually call this as like num.length, okay? And then let's say num.length, okay, r.length, and then you have what happened here? Our initialized variable because we don't have any like value assigned a what they call this one number to it. So skip sa nato ni. So let's have val and let's have numr. Okay, numr dot length. So when we run this one, this would give us 10. Okay, ang isa 10 and this is 7 di the same siya 7 and numr is also 7. Okay, so how would we, if we are declaring an array, so this is what you do, what you usually do if you haven't decided yet kung pila dapat ang value sa imong array. So if you're going to ask me a questions regarding this one, kung sir, what if magbutang na ko value or length sa ko ang array, how would I do that? So you do this by doing this one. So r new int and then let's say 100. So this time your array kani siya na siya length. So this is only apply this can only be applied in a if an array is declared only, not instantiated, not initialized. Okay? So yan. So r dot length. So you will see here kung i-run na to siya. So you have 10, 7, 7, and 100. Okay? So yeah, that's it for array. So let's now focus on this numr. Okay, so num0, ayan. So num0 plus 1. So num0 plus num, let's say num2, ayan. So this would add 2 and 5. So 2 0, num0 plus numr ay dapat numr. So this would sum up 2 and 5, which yields to 7. And of course, num0 is 2. Okay. So another one is in Java, since it's different to C++ na last time, kung malapas ta og length sa array, let's say ang length ani niya is 7, right? So dapat 0 to 6 lang siya. So example, nagbutang ka diri og 7. Okay? So syntax wise dili na siya mag-error because it's not a syntax error, but it's actually a logical error, and it's actually an array index out of bounds. However, dili na di ay karon mag-error. Okay. So dati ang if you're going to use Java 7, Java 8 I guess. So check na to, isabo na to ato ang just to prove to you na, or if really it's okay, at least nag-change na si Java. But dati-dati this is like I know because I'm using R. Okay, so dapat num array. Kasi num is like 10. So basically dapat 7. Kaya pala mo prove ako tapos Mali day ako ang ano. I stand corrected. So wala nag-change si Java. So try na to kung nag-change pa siya. So wala. Okay? I thought nag-change na si Java because again, every time mag-update na siya siyang version kung sa na JDK, sometimes nag-change na siya. So I was wondering, ano siya nag-error ganina because I actually used num instead of numr. So si num kasi is 10. So covered pa niya ang 9. Why I mean, why Java does it? Kasi it throws an exception. It's an error. No? Sa C++, di na siya error. Even sa Python, di siya mag-error. Actually, sa Python, makagamit ka og negative na index, makagamit ka og lapas na index sa iyahang number size sa array. Okay? But in Java, you cannot do that. No? So Java really teaches us something uh, that an array has only a limitation. So and that delimits us from using arrays that are numbers index that are not in range. Okay, so um, there no, ang error niya is array index out of bounds. So yeah, sometimes si Java sa JDK nag-change yun na like sa una I used to use GDK 7. So like sa switch, dili pa siya pwede makagamit og string sa iyang switch select case pero as it went along no like sa GDK 8, 9 so pwede na ta makagamit og string sa ato ang switch. Okay, dati dili siya pwede. Okay? So that's it. No, that's how Java works. So array in Java works. So if you guys want to access the value, so of course you just have to do this one. I less than num r. So it would be better if you use the length, no, and then I plus plus, and you can display something from like here. So we have num r. Okay, so num r I. So when we run this one, this would give us values 2, 4, 5, 10, 6, 8, and 12. Okay, so if you guys want to display it in a horizontal na pagka-display, so you just have to do that. Okay, and so this is now what you have asked from me no before. So sir, saan to paggamit ang for each loop. So kanang for each loop, okay, ginagamit nato na siya for a list no or an array. Okay, so like we have here. So int, I'm going to put here int val, and then I will read it all the way from array, no? So, nana daw ang val, rename val. So, lahiyo na lang nato ni value. Okay. So, and then I'll display here. So, this is like num plus equals. Yeah. So, this is now the idea of for each loop, no? Wait. Sorry, nganong naman akong gigamit value. Kanilaging copy paste man ako to. So write system dot out. Yeah. So that's it, no? That's the another type of loop which is for each loop. So for each loop does this. So ang ginabuhat niya is instead of you do this kind of loop, if you just want to display your what they call this one, your the values of your array or num which is this elements right here, then you store it to the value and you just have to use the value right away. Okay, right after the for loop block. All right, yan. Okay, so is there any questions?
Kanang double dot sir ba, di ba? Like int value. Pwede na da i-delete equal sir?
Sa dapit line.
Kanang sa for int value, sir, nagamit
Oo.
ka og murag
Ah.
no that, sir. Pwede ra dai siya ingana, sir?
Yes, this is another loop type, which is for each loop. You can only use this one pag
Pero
arrays or mga list. Pero di na nimo siya magamit sa
ah,
iban.
so pwede ra pod ko mo gamit like value is equal to num r, sir?
Like i-ana nimo, ana,
Yes, sir.
dili.
Dili. So kana
Oo.
ra dai siya, sir.
Oo.
Thank you,
Inana
sir.
ang inani ang syntax sa for each loop. Example ko na
Mm.
string let's say fruits. So nakadre apple, banana, banana, apple and banana. Let's say orange. So when you create a for each loop, so you must have used a string pod. No, let's say string f tapos fruits. So then you use f instead. So inana magsumpay siya pero sige na lang. Kaya walay system that out that print line. Yan. So apple, banana, and orange. Ito banana. Sa cocomelon mo na banana system that out that print line. Yeah, so basically that's it, no? That's what we can do with arrays. So if you want to edit, yes. Na question?
Sir, sa for each, sir, wala na ba manipulation users regarding unta sa for each, sir? Kanang display ra na siya, sir, sa array, wala na siya laing manipulation pa na
Pwede. Pwede. Like,
na isa-isahon or duha-tulo.
wala. Wala. Kasi that is for displaying and for comparison. Example, mag-compare ka. Kung mag-compare ka, syempre no kailangan na natay example kay multiple statements naman tangan na nato siya ginani no. So example, if magbut kani inana if value is let's say less than 5 and then display nimo. So pwede gyapon siya but it's something na for comparison but you cannot do it as like mag-store kag value or kung inani I don't know what you meant about kung manipulation but this is also something na manipulation pwede gyapon nimo siya i-compare. So ang buhaton is of course i-display lang niya tong uh, value sa imong array which is considered as less than 5 which is basically kaning 2 4 lang. Oo. So pwede na kani gamiton nimo ang value no longer index base dili siya parehani na mag index base jud ka like mayon ka if let's say num r I is less than 5 so inani jud imong buhaton num r I less than 5 pero the same gyapon sila ginabuhat only that you don't use index here instead you
Yes, sir,
use the
mas better
value.
kay
Mhm.
sir.
Mas gamay.
Sa ato sorry, sir.
Oo.
So sa
Gamay
ato
og
ba, sir,
syntax
kanang for each loop,
each loop.
sir, sa array ra gyud na siya, sir?
Yes, array og mga list. Like array list, linked list,
Dili
stack.
na ko siya pwede magamit sa mga loop, sir.
What do you mean? Loop man eh.
I mean sa mga like sa mga while, sa do while ana, sir.
Sa while loop. Like
Yes,
ang
sir,
imo
while loop
ang
or
anak niya. Anak nimo siya.
yes,
Mm,
sir.
dili kay like mag-construct ang while, di ba? Kailangan ang
Mm.
initialization niya kay naa sa gawas, ang condition niya kay dapat condition. So
Okay, sir. Thank you,
uh,
sir.
Sige, very good. You are asking questions. Sige, napay questions, guys. Nama mo questions? So,
Sir,
okay.
naunta
Ayan.
sir pero dili sa kuan sa file handling unta.
Sa file
Sa
handling?
file handling.
File handling? File
Yes
handling?
sir.
Okay lang, ayaw na. Balikan na to ng file handling ka ng mag-program na tao ka ng maka-store ng mga data. Don't you worry, I'll teach you about it.
Sir,
Balikan.
sir.
Oh, yes.
Sir, wala ko kasulod ka ganina sir ba kay nawala mo internet, nag-data ko. Wala ko ka sulod sa first nimo ka discussion.
Sige lang.
Pwede ay ngayon na lang ko ay napa ba sir gihawa na ba to nimo?
Ang,
Nag-record mangod ko sir, ako na lang i-record sir para sabtan lang na ako. Okay lang.
okay ra. So you
Sige,
mean
sir. Thank you.
you're asking me if you're asking me na i-upload na ko tong ganina para is mga ka-recording
Apo, sir.
ato. Okay.
Apo,
Sige.
sir. Thank you, sir.
That's that. Just give me time lang kay ano pa mo na i-process pa na mahimong video.
Copy, sir.
Okay, sige. So let's now go to array manipulations, no? Of course, sa array manipulations, start with sana ba yung oras? 11:09 pa, daghan pa tag mabuhat. So let's have here int num equals new int, let's say 10. Yan. So example, no, mag-store taog value to our arrays. So int I, let's say 0, I less than num dot length, and then num plus plus. Okay, so let's say, num naman eh. So, yan. And then, let's say you want to store numbers, no, to your array. So, kanina mga ano lang to, naka-initialize ta, and then, wata nag-store og mga numbers. But this time, you will let the user to store or enter value to your array. So, basically, this is what you will do. So, example, mag-option pane ta. So, let's say we have here num I is equal to, so integer man no? So integer dot parse int, and then j option pane. So enter value for, so ato siyang i-ano. Tangan na to siya value for num, tapos I, yan. Para this would tell us kung kapila na ta mag-store of value. So example, inana siya. So mag-store, mag-ask siya of value starting with enter value for num0. So ayan, at least we know kung asa ta, unsa na value atong storean ana. Yan. So naga-change na siya for yan. Okay? So of course, if you guys want to store you want to know ang value niya, you can use the hold, and then pwede lang nato na siya i-hold plus equals num I. Yan, di ba? Just the usual thing we do. Then, i-display nato dire na the entered or the values you, let's say, the elements of array. Yan. So, putang ni mo diri, hold. Okay, so of course there's this one doesn't make sense kung inani mo ang idea, because again this is something na mabuhat nato even dili array atong buhaton, no? Even dili array atong buhaton, ani pwede ra na siya, like pwede ra man ni bisan dili nato ni i-array ang num. So, kay of course, this will give us na mag-store tag value and then mag-display lang taong array. So, I mean, sige, elaborate na ako sa inyo ha. This will actually store, same, no? Mag-store siya, wait, i5 lang sa nako ni class ha, kay kapoy taas kayo mag, so i5 lang nako ni, so 5, 6, 7, 3, ayan. So 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, wala lang na butangan og spaces. So this doesn't make sense because this can be what they call this one. This can be actually uh, solved by using num lang, no? Even di ka mag-ano anin, mag-array, like walay array ha, example. Ayan, no array. So num, just a usual value. So actually, same ang ma-achieve ani sa ato ang program. Ayan. Ayan, 5, 6, 7, 4, 3. The same thing with kanina na nag-array ta. So again, I'm telling you that this program doesn't make any sense kasi you are able to actually do this with like even walay array. Okay? So now, I'm going to give you the understanding why when do we use array and why we really use array, because that's most important na idea. I mean, that's one of the most important things that you have to uh, fully grasp. It's because you will know then when to use and when to not use array. Okay? So, if this kind of program lang ang imong buhaton, like in ani, then this would not require any array. So, now, when do we use array? We use array if we want to store values and if we want to access the values that you have stored. Okay? So, because basically, if using this solution, and if you want to access those values that are entered previously, or all those that you have entered, so this would not be feasible. So dili siya feasible. Example let's say I want to display the the values, no, of katong gi-enter nako ikatulo, ikaupat. So I cannot do that anymore because the only thing that I can access now would be only the last value. So example, di naman ko pwede makaingon na num something like that because that is not an array, or something like num3. I cannot do this, no? So like for an instance, mayon ko og the value of index 3, or the third, mayon ko the third or the second or the first value of you entered is, example ni anak ko. So is, let's say, num 0. Of course, always, first index yun na ang value nga first gi-enter nimo sa array. But you cannot do that in a program with no array, or with na dili array imong gi-declare. So example, the first value you entered is, let's say, num. Okay? So, initialize na nato si array, si num dire. Okay? So, notice that, okay here, mag-run ako ng program, type na ko siya 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, the elements of array, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, even dili siya array, pero the first value you entered is 5. So, the only thing na ma-remember sa to ang program is katong last value that you have entered. So, because basically this is not an array. Another thing is when you want to, let's say, wala dili dili ni siya dili nimo gibutang. Okay, like for an instance, you created another loop and you want to display those elements of array. So how could you possibly do that? You can't. No, dili ka maka-display og elements sa array. No, so that are entered or out of the loop. So dili na nimo na ma-display ang mga elements dito. So that's the advantage of an array because you're able to manipulate the values. So with array, you can do as much as anything you want for your data. Okay? So example, I can now display na the element, the first value I enter or you entered is, so ayan. So the first element that you entered would be num0. So basically, ang buhato na 1, 2, 3, 4, wala na ako na insertan of value. So, sorry. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So ano na siya, the elements of array kay wala naman ta nag-store no. Nag-display. So the first value you entered is 1. So this is definitely the advantage of using array. Now, of course, you can always do like this. Okay? But let's say for an instance, you would want only that this one is for input. Oh, sige, input lang na siya. And then, you don't have anything here na, I mean, input lang na siya. And then, when himo kag another loop na for displaying lang. So, let's say int I is equal to 0. By the way, you can still use I because local lang na na-declare si I. So, pwede na nimo balik-balikon. So, num dot length tapos na I plus plus. Okay? So I will have here hold or pwede na isa-isa na ko siya pagpa-display or I can just use hold plus is equal to num I. So this is something na you cannot do without using array. Okay? Yan. So you have the display, you have the what they call this one, the changes of an array. So three changes display, mag-input and mag-display. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the elements of array are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So see, that's something na mabuhat nimo sa array because you are able to store values there. So meaning to say, in your program, you can manipulate your arrays. Like even mag-edit ka og value. So this is for editing. So I'm just going to copy paste this one. And let's say this one is the elements of array. Ayan. Then akong buhaton dire is mag-edit ko og mga values. So, i-edit na ko ang value sa array. Ayan. So I will do like this, no? So, num I enter new value. So enter new value 4. Okay? Ayan. Then, butangan na to siya o sa itong isa ka, ano ani, check sa nako na atoy, this is initial value. So, initial value. Sige, enter new value for num I. Okay? So, check na to. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the elements of array is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then enter new value for num0. So dili day dapat num0 atong ibutang. Enter new value for 4. So dili dapat ani. Wait ha. Okay, wait. For num0. Ayan. So enter value for num0, num-I. Okay? And then kopyahon na lang po nato ning display right after. And then so the elements of the new elements of array, yan. So mabag-o na dapat na, okay? So ayan, this is kinda advantage of out of using an array. So this is something that you cannot do using normal variables only. Okay, so now I have here entered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then that's the elements of the array. So I'll update, enter new value for 1. So I'm going to put here 100, enter new value for 2, say 34, enter new value for ano is 50, 89, and then 98. Ayan. So the new elements of array, so naatay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mo ng karaan. So wala na erase because nag hold plus mo gihapon ta. So wala na reset ang hold. So 134, 50, 89 mo ning new element. So again, wala lang to na wala man gud na reset na to ang hold. So dapat atong gibuhat diri is gi-reset na to na ang hold, no? This is something like gi-reset. Reset the hold. So meaning katong hold na karaan pag abot diri new value since mag new value man ta so imo na siyang i-reset and then use it. So, para mawala na tong last value niya. And then the new value will only be displayed. Okay, again, question. So, do you have any questions? Guys, may mga questions?
Wala, sir.
So, wala, no? Dali lang, no? So, ang array, pwede po di mo siya i-manipulate using mga if condition, if ang value. So, if let's say, if num I, let's say num I is sige, greater than modulus of 2 is equal to 0. So this will extract only even numbers, no? So pwede nimo na i-reset na tong hold diri. Hold. So this will give you even numbers only. So katong gi-enter na to na even numbers mo mo display diri. So hold plus equals num I. Yan. So okay, so that's another one. So display na to siya dire. So the even numbers, the elements of arrays or the even na lang, even elements of array is hold. Okay? So pwede po butang dire og another one. So let's say int, let's say highest. So kung ano tong highest sa tanan element. Yan. So butang na to 0 or num 0. So after that, atong buhaton diri is would be if so you can start with 1 directly. So if na or if highest is less than num, let's say I, so atong buhaton diri would be highest is equal to num I. So meaning to say if katong pinaka highest kay naapay mas higher sa iyaha, highest na pay mas higher. Anyway, katong value na highest kung naapay mas higher sa iyaha, which is dapat highest to siya. Mali ang grammar pero sabta lang siya in a programming way. So highest na siya pero if naapay mas higher sa iyaan na, then therefore pulihan na pud siya ang highest ug katong bag-o na which is higher kay highest. So actually mao na ang idea ana. So while if every time mag-loop siya kung kaning highest kay naay mas higher, so bag-o na ni ang value sa highest. So and that would mean the highest elements of array is let's say highest. Ayan. So run na to ang program. So 2, 3, 5, 1, 9. So elements of array, then usabon daw na itong mga values. So 23, 17, 89. Yan. The elements of array are 45, 100, 23, 17, 89. So dapat ang highest nila is 100. Tapos ang even nila kay 100, 100 lang. So the even elements of array, 100 ra, and then the highest is 100. Okay? So this is something na mabuhat nimo sa array. So it's really powerful because the values that you have already stored to your array are basically what they call this one the values that you have entered previously can be manipulated uh, all the way down here sa imong program or codes. Okay? So naay questions?
Manisted bang ari sir?
Nested? Oo. Katulad yung last time na to na discussion, katong naghimo tag multiplication table, ay ang array, sorry,
Yes sir.
manested ang array, dili. Magka two-dimensional array lang ka, two dimension, dili pwede, di man siya construct good ang array, kuan man gud siya. Hmm. So, ang array man good storage, dili siya construct. So, dili siya ingon na like manested. Like F, no? Construct. So, manested nimo. For loop is a programming construct. So, nested nimo. Switch, manest nimo. So, kana sila nested nimo. Pero array cannot be nested. But, pwede siya na two-dimensional. Pwede rugged array. So, ayan. Which is, i-discuss nato na siya puhon. Unahon sa nato ning mga single one-dimensional array. Sige. Any question? May questions, guys? Hello?
Wala na.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, sir.
Sige. So, now, what we are going to do is pwede nimo yeah, sige ka na. So now, let's have a mga array structural modifications, no? So array structural okay, so let's have this one para last na. So let's say ato ang array is 10. Okay? So it would not mean sometimes, no? Basin like ang inyong impression sa array na kung 10 siya, like kung 100 siya, you must have stored values to your array up to 100. Like parehaan niya atong gibuhat last time sa or ganina, no? Asa to arrays na mag-store ta og kay this one is like 5. So if like this is 100, so basically mag-store po ni siya og 100 diri that length perting kapuya na, no? Imagine daghan kayong numbers. So that's why for practice mag-ano tag 5. But that's something na dili, no? I mean kana na impression ninyo sa array, it would not always mean like that. So an array can be used to store only values, but you can always do like this na when we store to an array, even if it's 100, it doesn't follow na mag-store jud tag 100 to our array. Okay? Just like for an instance, this kani atong buhaton. So, now, himo sa taog menu. Sakit na kung abad na kung tiyan. So, let's say we have add new. Then, let's have display. And then let's have search. And then end. So array ni siya, no? So array na string. So add new, display, search, and end. So what we're going to do here is we're going to manipulate arrays based on the menu that we provided. So to start doing that, by the way, why I have created like this, it's because maghimo ta og isa ka J option pane na ang buhaton niya is i-display niya as drop down ang ato ang kaning menu. So add new display search and end. So example, we have here uh, a menu. So uh, sa ba ni? Menu, enter value or something. Basta ano lang sana, and then let's have null, and then one menu, and then menu 0. So let's use this show input dialog. So we have parent component, object message, title. Okay, wait ha. Pangita na ko ang J option pane. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Title. Tapos message type. Message, title, message type. So baliktad, dapat 1. So 1. And then null. And then menu, menu. So this time, i-convert nato siya into toString. Pwede po i-typecast nato ni siya. Okay? What do you mean i-typecast, sir? Example, mag-error man gud ni siya kay dapat i-string man gud nato ning i-convert niya into string. So dapat ang storage ani is a string value. Let's say string val equals to ayan. So i-typecast nato siya into string, pwede ra po niyo buhaton as like this. Ayan. Okay? Or either to string. Okay, so have here to string. So this one, tong buhaton dire is iparansa nako ni siya para you would see unsay output niya. So the output of this one will be like this. So this idea would mean a lot. It's because this would prevent our user from committing mistakes kasi they are not allowed to enter a value here. They are only allowed to select that we set based atong array. So kani siya add new display search and end. So add new display search and end. So as you can notice, add new ang nauna, that's the index 0. So i-explain na ko siya. Now, this one is the null. Null is the parent component. So null man na always, same sa show message dialog. Pero pag mag-GUI ta, this should not always na happen na null siya always. Pwede na ito ibutangan og any value here, no? Mga values basta natay GUI component. But since wala pa tayong mga GUI component, only G option pane, null na lang muna atong ibutang dira. So this is the menu. Unsa daw imong message, like choose a value, then menu. This is the string title daw. So where did I see this? Kanina di ba nagbutang ko og nag-access ko kasi nakalimot ko unsay sequence niya. So kani akong gi-follow. So parent component message title. So una daw ang message, tapos title, tapos message type. So ang message type nimo is katong 0, 1, 2, 3, either error message, information, warning, or question, or plain. So pwede na 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or pwede po na siya na J option pane dot error, J option pane dot information, but it can be represented with an index. So pwede na po siya index. Okay? So ayan. But this time, I'm gonna be using index para dili taas akong program. So the other one is the icon. So wala man tayo icon, So butangan lang nato siya null. Pwede nato na himuog butang ag icon. So try nato na later magbutang tag icon. Now for null, for kaning null, I mean kanang menu dire kani siya it means unsa na object imong ibutang sa imong array. So basically it implies this array object. So according sa atong array object na siya add new display search and end. Okay? So meaning ma-display daw ni tanan sa ato ang J option pane as a list. Tapos kaning menu 0, ang una daw na makita sa user is index 0 which is add new. So kung gusto ka na display, butang nimo 1 dire. Kung gusto kag search, butang nimo 2 kung end 3. So ana ang pasabot ana. Okay? So ayan no. So now, so magbuhat na ta og loops. Butangan din nato ning kanang unsa ni icon. So makita tag icon, napati icon dire. So Google icon. Pictures. Lain dire. Si Ivana girl na lang. Pwede pa nato ni butang. Try na to si Ivana. Kanang wholesome lang wholesome. O may wholesome dire si Ivana. Puro man ni igat-igat. Ay kani. So ibutang nato ni siya as an icon to our wait, save na to sa desktop. Okay, so what we'll need to do is saan man to akong i-save? Uy, huwa lagi. Sa desktop. Ayun. So we'll need to put this one right here sa atuang ayan. So copy files. Nana dito Ivana das time. So na naman di ay Ivana. So yan. So we're going to put here new image icon. Ayan. And then Ivana.jpg. JPEG. Sakit man ako diyan. Kutok-kutok las ay. Yan. So, of course, this is something na dili related sa ato ang buhaton, but yeah, that's what you can do for what we call this one, putting an image to your what they call this one, to your J option page. So now, itong buhaton would be saan yung ipang stop sa natin. So mag-create na ta karon og loop niya. Okay, so while and then let's put this one here. Utang nato dire string what they call this one, selected ba or chosen? Sige, chosen na lang. Yan, we have here chosen. And then let's have here chosen that equals, so mag-end atong program until ang gipili niya is dili end, ay until while ang gipili niya dili end. So muna sa do while. So dapat pilion niya ang end tapos i-negate nato siya para mag-stop Okay? So this would mean na if i-run na to ang program and then magpili ta og add, so always lang siya display. So yan, search. Then kung mag-end ka and mag-stop na pud ang program. So mao na tong buhaton karon. So every time magpili ta add new, display, search o search, buhaton po niya mag-add new ta, mag-display o mag-search. Sa end is stop niya ang imong program. So this time we're gonna be using switch statement, and then let's have here chosen. So kopyahon na to ni, and then let's have here. Okay, so dati, as I've told you, di ni siya allowed sa Java 7 or Java 6 ba? Kalimot na ko, pero basta di ni siya allowed sa una. Pero because of the advent of the Java technology, gi-allow na nila na ano na taog string sa to ang switch. So you have here. Then, butan na to dire J option pane, show message dialog na program terminating. Okay, so now add new ta. So this we'll need to declare some variables here. So let's say I start with the index. So muna natin ang gamiton for indexing, no, array indexing. And then we'll start here that if we're going to add new, we're going to ask the user to enter a value. So let's say for an instance, we have here num, then let's say I, so which is start with index 0, and then equals to integer dot parse int J option pane that show input dialog. So enter a number. Now, mag-increment sa atong I. Okay? So increment na to siya by 1. So every time mag-add nyo siya, increment by I. So let's start with 0. So 0 must store ang first number, and then I plus plus na imo na po siyang 1. Kung magpili na po kag-add nyo, mag num1 na po, and then mag 2 na po ni siya, add nyo na po 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. So same process inana ang ginabuhat sa add nyo. Tapos i-display na nato atong program. So magbutang ta diri hold para yan. I-hold, ano lang natong hold. So hold equals, let's say, this one. And then, magbutang tag loop dire. So since display lang man, pwede ta mag for each loop. Okay? So to do that, for int val, and then num. Okay? So the only problem with this one is makita nyo later on na nani siya problem sa kung what they call this one, for each loop ta. Okay? So magka-problem na siya, pero sige, check sa nato. So example, add tag value. So add new, so 3. Yan. Add new, 5. Add new, 7. Add new, 10. Yan. So, pag-display na to, dapat ma-display na to sila. So, na-display na to 3, 5, 7, 10. Pero kung check, i-double check niyo why it has displayed lots of zeros. So, that's the reason why we don't use for each loop for this one. So, ang pasabot ani niya that you display the numbers, the array, and array kasi assume that when it doesn't have any value, yet it will automatically store 0 or store 0. So, basically, pag wala pa ka nagdisputang og value sa imong array, 0 tanan nimong value sa index from 0 to 99. So that is one of the reason na dili na siya pwede gamiton dire. But we can actually do this by something like ato siyang anuhon. Let's say I is equal to 0 and then ayaw ning I kasi gigamit na rin nato na. So let's say A na lang equals to 0. A is less than. Okay, so kung gamiton po natong num.length, similar lang pod. Okay, same lang pod ang mahitabo. So check na to. Num A. So it's still the same because length gihapon imong ginabasihan. So example 3, tapos enter tab 5, tapos display. So 3, 5, 0. So what will happen, sir? Nganong same man, di ba? Anong ka for each loop, di na to gamiton. So same lang man gyapon sa array. So at least using this one, pwede na to ni i-change into something else. Sa for each loop kasi wala kay ang range niya is really starting from katong nga value sa sugod until the end. Pero with this one, nakay option na you will only display your array based on the number of elements that you have entered. And what is our basis for that? Any idea? Unsa may basis nato nga maulang ni taman ang gisudlan nato og value sa atong array? Sige daw. Using your critical thinking. What do you think will have to change this one? Unsa dapat ibutang nato diri instead of num.length para ma-resolve nato to diha na problem ganina? Hello. Ako na lang may tao dire. Asa na yung mga bataan ni?
Wala ko yung muna sir.
Oh, kinsa ang makahuna-una dira? Sa kaya ko ibutang dira. Sige daw, based sa to ang codes. Tama ni mga bataan ni. Dins lister, tapos di manubag. Ayo.
Sir, unsay itong question, sir?
What should we do para dili siya ma-include ang mga zeros sa to ang pag-display sa base sa ato ang array? Kasi ang arrays, kung dili nimo na siya butangan og value, ang automatically zero jud na, just like what you see,
Ay.
what you've seen earlier.
Aso sa aton pa, sir, dili appeal ang 0. So mag plus 1 ta, sir, sa atong code.
Mag plus 1,
Yes, sir.
asa rapit?
Ano sir, ako sir kay tanggalon ng 100 sir tapos i-null na lang ang 100 sir.
So ano, yana?
Oh, hindi kanang wala na i-sort the number sir.
Ha? Wala na isulat, di man pwede.
Ay dili pwede okay.
Dili. Definition man sa atong array nga 100 siya. So dapat ang ma-store, ang ma-display lang katong aman sa unsa lay gisudlan nato na value. Unsaon na kaya nato? O kung sa mga dins lister dere. Check nato mga dins lister dere. Ganito. Ay mga dins lister dere. Kita na ko to sa post eh. Wa naman.
Wala kami yata si Mark Ron, sir.
Ha?
Si Mark
Sure.
Ron.
Ang probensado o kadto ko so kay tumutubag sa ako ang 2522B. Wala yung mga dins lister sa inyong section? Okay, dins lister sa inyong section? Are you sure? Murag na ako nakita eh. Kasi si Lucille nag-transfer po to 552B. Huwag na ato Wala sir kay hapit minimo gipang bagsak.
Ora sir.
Ikaw Oh, that's good. Well, congratulations. Murag si Inumata.
Sir, naon po ko, sir.
Ikaw, o Dean's Lister ka, o sige daw. Challenge. Sa may dapat ibutang na to, Dre.
Naot nung, ay,
Zero,
murag sa ko. Yes, sir.
Ha? Sige daw, mura na ito'y nadungga na tama. Kinsa to, babae.
zero, sir. Tapos ng that length, sir.
Ansa?
Try lang, sir.
Kinsa man?
Zero, sir. Then, ayun siya. Anong murag apostrophe? Sana? Kama, sir.
Ansa ako?
Try lang, sir. Zero. Then, comma, that length.
Ana, 0, comma, that length. Wait lang.
Yes,
Ano?
sir. Yes, sir. Mali mo, sir, no?
Syntax error na.
Yes, sir.
Sige, patanong ta mo, unsa program, unsa ang nakita niyo na nag-update yang value every time mag-add ta?
Ang plus, sir?
Unsa na value, unsa na siya?
What do you mean, sir? What do you mean? Paki-repeat do sa questions.
Every time magbutang ta og value sa atong array, unsa iyang basis na nakabutang ta og value? Like unsay iyang indication na nagbutang na tag value sa ato ang array?
Katong iyang mga index, sir?
Sir, clue daw, sir.
So, ang nabutang ni mo diya, sir, is
First daw, sir. First letter daw, sir.
I'm sorry, sir.
Nakay gi-mention unsa tay mong giingon?
For example, A is katong num, sir ba? Num, then murag open bracket, then A. I'm sorry.
Ang mag plus.
Lagi no madugay jud tani ba, sige. Yeah, so ina niya, ano na ko, di na ko i-direct akong kuan kasi ma-obvious na. So, di ba ito ang element sa array kay 100, tama? Tama ba ko?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So, upon adding new value to your array, unsa ang nagadrive sa iyaha na nakabutang na tag value dito sa array? Like, how would we know? Unsa ang indication na gibutangan na nato siya value dito? Unsa ang nagadrive sa iyaha na nagabutang na tag value or new value sa atong array? Unsa na variable?
Ang I?
A man siguro, sir. A.
Ang I, very good. Ang I. Na-mention niyo. So wala naman joy lain noon dira, di ba? Di ba? Kani class. Oo. So kung mapansin niyo, atong I ginagamit ato for indexing. So which is nag-start ta og 0. So example lang, nagpili og add new ang user and then nag-enter siya og 3. So basically kaning num I 0 nato, ang num I 0 nato would be 3. Right? So first for instance no 3. So num I 0 nato is 3. Tapos naga-update ni siya og value. So we have 1. Mahimo na siyang 1 pero ang atong num 0 is ang value niya is equals to 3. Okay? So now, kung mag-add kag bagong value sa add new, num1 na pod siya. So num1, example, nag-add na pod ka og 5. So, ang num1 nimo is, ang num1 nimo is now equals to 5. So, kaning 1 nimo, ma-update na ni siya by 2. Kung mag-enter na po kag new value, let's say 8. So, num2 nimo would be equals to 8. So, ayan, ana. Then, kani mahimong 3. So, basically, katong num0 to num2 na siya value. So, 3, 5, and 8 respectively. Katong num3, gikan padulong hantod num99 kay karon equals to 0 pa na siya unless mag-add na pud kag new value, so ma-update na pud ang value niya. So this time The indicator na nagbutang lang tag value up to this index is kaning I. So mao ni atong ibutang instead of the length para ang iyalang i-count is katong value na naanay elements sa atong array na naay value. Index sa atong array na naay value, not all or the entire index sa ato ang array. So that is why if i-run nato in a program with that code, no, or with that I thing, so let's say 5, 7, and then 10. So then display. So there, display 5, 7, and 10. So yeah, that's it. That's how you actually do you display. Ayan, no? Very good. Thank you for sa those nag-participate. So kato mga tinguga always dito sa nag-participate sa ako ang ano ba, no? So ang uban kay hilom kayo ambot nagunsa ani nga tulog jud ni.
May plus point,
Pero
sir.
kanang ano sir
Sir,
ba, dili
katong
din na siya
mali,
pwede
sir.
ma-edit nimo sir katong
Well,
array.
punto. Ang sa daw? Kadtong
Ang kanong sa array sir ba, dili din nimo na siya pwede like kanang gibutang nimo na 100 dili din na siya pwede sir ka mag-error na siya sir.
pwede naman pero katong display di ba ganina kay na-appeal ang mga zero daghan kaayo, di ba pangit like ang gi-enter lang man nimo na value kay katong 358 tapos gi-appeal pa nimo display ang uban na wala pay sulod. Murag ana ba? So okay ra to pero at least ma-narrow down nato siya sa atong array kung sa lang tong value na gisulod nimo by not displaying all the rest or other value na wala pay sulod or other indices na wala pay sulod. So pwede good ka to inyong i-follow pero again I don't know if you like about it but I just don't think it's a good idea. Okay? Sige. So this time mag-search ta. So sa search pwede ta mag-search, let's say mag-enter ta int val. So let's have here kanina lang tong gamiton. Okay, so by the way, duha ang way sa pag-search. Pwede search by index. Then the other one is search by value. So example, search by index ta, no? Int index atong button re. So enter an index. Okay, from 0 to, so butang na to 0 to I pud siya kasi ang idea ani is ang I na to mo jay oy basis na to sa pilay sulod sa tong array kasi kung ibutang na to to num.length until 100 katong 0 0 so kutob ta diri enter an index from 0 to I actually kay ang I na to minus 1 na to ni I minus 1 para eksakto jud na ang sulod is katong index lang na naisulod. Example ha kani 0 1, 'di ba? Remember ang ano nato ani is 0 1 2 3. 0 1 2. So ang ika 3 wala pa naisulod. So pero ang I na to is 3 na. So pero ang naisulod katong 0 1 2 lang jud. So therefore kay 3 man ang I minus 1 ta. So 2 lang na siya 0 to 2. So 0 1 2. So kung mag-add na pud ka ma 4 ma 5 6 7. So kung 7 na natong I minus 1 0 to 6 lang natong sulod kay ang array man nag-start with 0. Yan no? Because array again starts with 0. So this time for this, mas dali ang searching sa array by index kasi we don't have to have loops. So example, magbutang lang tag condition na if I or index is greater than or equal to 0 and index is less than I kasi dapat within the range. If in ana, then display na to here that value at, or sige, ibutan na nato 3. Sige, value at index. Okay, index is, yan. So, num, tapos index. So, that is for index na, sa tawag ani, search by index. So, kung dili siya dili siya within the duration or scope sa index na to, so pwede ta mo butang diri na invalid index. So at least bright atong program to support na it does not accept anything na invalid. So invalid index. Okay? Index. Ayan. So, what happened here? Ano nag-error ni siya? Okay. So, another one is search by value. Ako na lang ipadayon na kay alas 12 na, search by value. So, this time, ako aning kopyahon, and then instead of index ako butang ko direct value. So, enter value to search. Sige, enter a value to search. Yan. So, kanina naman, value siya, dili index. So, kailangan na itong loops ani. So, ang loops would be something like, ato na nasa ning kopyahon here. So, if A is less than I, blah, 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 and then if, okay, so if num or value is equal to num A, so kung nakita niya na naana, okay, atong ibutang break. So, display nato na, okay, value is found at index. Yan, index tapos A. So, nakita daw si value, dili na lang value jud. Butang nato diri na value is found at index A. Yan. And then after that, kung para maano nato na is not found, so daghan pa maagi pod para mo display nato na value is not found is error man ni siya. Pwede ta butang diri na if, let's say, value, pwede na if A is greater than I, or something like magbutang na lang ta og indicator diri na, let's say we have int found. So 0 siya kung naa or wala, and then naa, wait, 0 kung di niya makitaan, 1 kung di niya makitaan. Kung mag-while, mas okay sana. Pero kanina lang, naka-for loop naman ta. So, kung 1, meaning na ay nakita. So, found. So, nakita niya ang value. Pero kung dili siya mag-found is equal to 1, that means, so if found is equal to 0, that means, J option pane. So, meaning, ang pasabot niya, i-discuss na ako, i-explain ako, value is not found. So, basically, wala siya nakita na value. So, explain ako, ang kani index, dali lang man no, kay ipakita niya ang index only, katong valid na index, i-verify lang niya kung valid, if not. Pero dire, so, itangitaon niya, gikan sa 0 hantod sa I, ang value, kung ang value na gi-enter ni user is the same or naa siya is the same sa element sa array, i-display niya value is found at katong index based asa nakita na A. And then i-break niya, meaning mag-stop siya na loop. So found is equal to 1, And then if found is equal to 0, meaning sa loop, pagbasa, if wala siya nakita, so meaning dili na niya execute na ang found mahimong 1. So if always ang found kay 0, that means wala ni siya nag-true kani nga if condition. So therefore, we could say na ang value is actually not found in the element of the array. Okay? So this time, kulang dinig isa. So ato nang i-run atong program. So ayan, add new, so 3, add new 5, add new 100, add new 50, add new 2. So display nato and then pangitaon nato index kani si 100 index 0 1 2. Tapos ang 50 pangitaon nato sa value which is index 3 siya, 4. 3 di ay. Okay. So this time search ta. So index 2 which is dapat 100. So the value at index 2 is 100 which is correct. And then enter a value to search. So 50 siya. So 50 is found at index 3. So tama ato ang program. Okay? So we're going to continue this one. Sige, ipadayon. Gusto ninyo ipadayon nato? Mag-edit, mag-delete?
Sir, nakipangunta na, sir ba?
Yes po.
Applicable kaya po ni sa string, sir, no?
Yes. Actually, mag-string ta next meeting. Or if not, basin sa Sabado, invite lang tamo sa Sabado, basin makastring ni by sa karong Saturday sa kuang 2552B. I-invite lang tamo
Okay.
pa like mosulod mo.
Sir.
Okay. So another one is, let's say, by the way, daghan kay G-option pane, no? So kani siya G-option pane, pwede good nato ni siya ibutang somewhere dire. Like kaning hold, dire na lang nato na siya ibutang. So instead, ang kani siya so and then kani siya hold equals to something like this. So i-hold na lang pod nato ni siya. So butang nato siya index is invalid. Invalid index. Anyway, sige. Another is this one. So, pwede po natin i-hold equals, ayan. But this one I will only look for value na isa. Katong pinakauna niya na makita. Like example lang, out of 100 na siya imong gipangita kay 20, tapos ang naapoy 20 sa next index, ang pinakauna na makita niya na 20, mao lang to ang i-kwaon niya. Unless gusto ka na pangitaon to tanan, tanggalon lang nimo ning break. Inaan ang mahitabo. So, pero kani first instance lang or occurrence of katong value na makita niya, stop na dayon siya pangita. Okay? And then let's have here hold. Ayan, para dili na kaayo daghan og sana G-option pane para ma-delimit na to ang paggamit sa G-option pane every now and then. So try na to dire. Let's have here. Wait, ano ni? Kasi wait, hold. Yeah, so kailangan jud na siya diri. And then diri kay diri pod siya. And then diri yan ana na lang. So gipang eliminate lang ako tong mga daghang G-option pane para di kay siya puro lang sa hold. So 4 5 6, so display. So ayan. And then sa search pod, so 2. Yan. So value, it's let's say 4. So 4 is found at index 0. Anong 4 is found at index 0. So example, mag-enter tayo 3. So wala siya nakita. So enter a value to search. 5 ay okay. Mao di ay. So kasi sumpay man guni atong program diri, which is dapat lahi man guni siya na program. So dapat if condition nato ni like kung mag-search ka by index or mag-search ka by value. So ayan no. Wait, pakita na ko sa inyo ha. Kay duha man gud siya ka process ang sulod aning so 2 5 7 8 yan. And then display search. So let's say mag-enter ta diri og 5 0 to 4, okay? Like naman yung uban users no, giingon na gani na enter index from 0 to 3, pero syempre pag mag-enter ang user og 4 kanang i-ano jud i-test ang isa ka program. So 4 is invalid, ayan. And then enter search value to search. So let's say 50, nabatay 50. So 50 is not found. So ayan no. So medyo okay atong program. Also with this one right here, example lang, butang na sa nato into 3. So mas okay kung nakay conditions diri saying na if I is less than num dot length, so pwede pa ta maka-store og value. Okay? So pwede pag abot diri else, then utang ta diri og hold. So array is full. Ayan. Then display ta diri og G option pane hold. Ayan. So display ta array is full. Example, atong program now would be kung mag-enter tag value, add new. So 2, add new 5. Ay, what happened? Sige lang. 6, add new. Ayan, array is full. Di na ka maka-enter. Okay? So you cannot, you're no longer allowed to enter new value. So because array is full. Because ang length sa atong array is only 3. Ayan. So, anong naatoy something na what we call this one? Kasi pwede ka magbutang diri hold. Okay. Equals num I iuna lang nato kay ang I bago i-update. So num I is stored added to array. Yan. Alright. So another one, pwede ka magbutang diri og sa imuhang, let's say, choose, and then butang ka diri og let's say hold equals number of records. Ay, sige, ano na lang. I, comma, num I out of num dot length plus records. So at least natay idea pila ang value sa tuang so butang natong hold plus. Yeah, then /n lang nato ni. So you would know now sa atong program, you would know now na nakikita mo 0 of 3 records. So every time mag-add kag value, so let's say 4. So 4 is added to array. So nanay 1 of 3 records. So add 6. So 6 is added to array. So 2 of 3. Yan. So 6. Yan. 6 is added. 3 of 3 records. So this time, di na ka maka-store of value. Yan. Okay? So yan. Ihumano na lang natin or sa man.
Sige sir, sige sir.
Okay, tamo dra.
Ay, sige itaw.
If you guys want to, go out, pwede naman mag-out ha.
Sir,
Yes,
Sir,
yes.
okay laman kaya sir na abang nagapamina magkaon sir.
Yeah, okay ra. Okay ra man. Sige lang, dalion na lang nako. Okay,
Sige lang,
dalion. Sige. Sige, magdungag taog edit tapos delete. Ayan. So, mag-program na lang sa ako niya, explain ako afterwards. Delete. Okay, so right now, atong buhaton would be magbutang tag new case na edit o delete. So, break. Tapos case, delete. Okay. So before I will do this one, what happened to search? Case, search. Ano man eh? Ay, okay. Edit ay dapat. So before I will continue that one, para na natay edit o delete, para makumpleto na nato ang kanisya na program. Ang next na ato sang buhaton is, ato asa ni siyang himuon as like kaning search by index ni search by value. Butang nato siya decision or like condition na kung gusto ba siya mag-search by index or gusto ba siya mag-search by value. So pwede ta maghimo diri og another na, let's say, pwede ka mag-if condition if kung search by index ihang gusto or search by value. So pwede na magdungag og new menu. So let's say new option atong ibutang, and then tanato dire search by index and then search by value. So dili na lang by index by value na lang para for edit o delete magamit na to siya. So by value or index o value na lang. Yan. So by value, by index, and then back. Ayan. Okay, and then magdungag tag isa ka selected na lang. Selected na string. So atong button this time would be, will you be using this option. So gamito nato ni dire, sulod nato ni siya sa search. Okay? And then instead of menu, i-change na lang nimo nito option. Then option. Tanggalon lang po nato ni si image icon, no? Inal na lang nato ni kay para dili si Ivana or ang butang. So this time atong buhaton is magbutang tag switch statement and then switch chosen, ayan, and then case by sa to atong ibutang index, no? So ayan, break, and then the other one is case value. Tama man siguro itong and then ang isa case back. So back. Yan. So back to main menu atong ibutang dira. So copy na to ni siya dire. Right here. Ayan. And then kaning by value, copy na to ning by value from here. So right there, no? And then by value. Ayan. So nanatay option, either ang user magpili siya og by value or by index. So check na to. So we have here. So atong gibuhat lang ato is nagbutang lang tag condition. So try na to 4, add new 5, add new 7. So this time mag-search ta. So nana siya option kung mag-search pa daw ka by index or by value. So na-appeal ang 3 of 3 records kay gi-copy paste man nato to siya. Ato nang tanggalon later on. So kung by index, so 0, let's say 1, so yan. Okay, kung mag-search ta by value, let's say enter a value to search. So let's say 2 is not found the I. So itong mga display 7, let's say search, tapos by value ta, and then 7. Yan, 7 is found at index 2. And then, search ta, and then back lang. So, wala gibuhat. So, ayan. Now, if na instances na gusto niyo kung mag-search, so kung mag-index, tapos 0, if gusto ninyo na dili siya mo gawas ato dito sa search na option, pwede na ninyo buhaton actually. Okay? So, inyong buhaton ana would be, if you don't like na inato ang pag search, kay gusto mo mag by value pa or by mag search until mag-click siya og back, saka pa siya mobalik sa main menu, pwede na to kayo na buhaton, no? So, kung gusto na niyo buhaton, choose na nato ning option. If you want that na if you want na inato, mag do while lang gihapon mo. I mean kailangan niyo mag do while. Okay? So mao na niyang giingon nato na nested while, nested do while, tapos nested loop, nested if switch statement. So daghan na kay kag nesting of statement diri, no? Ay, anong chosen man eh? Option man day dapat ta. Selected dapat atong selected. Pero naghapon option ha, pero mas okay kung selected atong gamiton. Kay ang chosen man gud para maguto sa main menu. So equals back. I-negate lang nato ni siya. And then ibutang lang nato ni didto sa ato ang yan. Here. Okay? So ayan. And then kani siya pwede na ni wala. Hold, butang tag hold dire. Back to main menu. Ayan. So with this changes atong program, ang may tabuan ni is this would be inanin na no. Wait ha. 6, ayan. And then search. So search by index ko. So 0. And sorry, wait. What the unsa na ito? Switch selected. Selected. Wala lagi siya nag-stop. Wait ha. Trace na ako. Do while selected that equals back. Okay. And break. Okay. Namang ini sa gawas. So dapat sulod ni siya. Okay. So balik ta. Nagawas na ko siya sa loop ang katong magpili og unsa ni. So 4 6, ayan, ato ta sa search. So index 0, ayan. So what happened? Wala ni display na ba? 1. Okay. So check na lang nato later on basin ang geo option pa na to wala nabasa. 4. So at least di na siya mo gawas from this from this option unless mag-back ka. So back to main menu, mobalik na siya dire. So di ba okay atong program if inana. So the only thing na problem nato karon is atong G option pay na asa gawas sa tuang dire dapat na siya. Okay, balik ta para mugana ta. So sorry kay nag-copy paste man gud mao nang mawala sa passing. Pero at least kung kabalo mo sa inyong program, kaila jud mo sa inyong program, di jud mo mawala. Ayan, so value. So 2 is found. Value is not found. Ayan, then back. Ayan, mabalik siya sa menu. Okay? So ayan, medyo bright na inyong program. And then, what's next is, atong buhaton, we do the same for edit. Okay, kapihon na lang nato ni siya. And then we do the same for edit. So, instead na So sa edit nato, nagyapon tayo edit by index or edit by value. Pero so itong button dire is so enter an index from 0 to blah 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 to edit, no? To edit. Ayan. Ayan. So if makita niya na if valid ang index, so i-update lang nato. Atong buhaton would be so mangayo lang gyapon tag option ay ato lang gyapon ni siyang i-copy paste here and then enter new value for so this is this should be num num index. So enter new value for num for num index. Yan. Dapat mga panalo ta kung unsay nga value ang new value na store niya sa num index. So kani pwede nato ni ibutang sa taas na part kay bago siya ma-change ato sa siyang i-ano na value at index value at kay edit man ni no so ato din tag kay multiple naman siya so wait lang num index integer dot parse and what we'll do here is that okay. So, kuha na lang. Di na lang nato siya sa store sa index. Maghihimo na lang tag another variable. So, new value na lang ato ibutang. Para at least, pinata maglisod. Pwede good to, pero basin malibog mo. So, atong buhaton dire is ani na lang. So, new value, kana nga index is butangan na to og new value. So, this time, pwede ta magbutang dire na num index is now changed to new value. Ayan. So, iuna dahil nato ni siyang hold kay ma-change, maparihan na, kung dili nato na siya ibutang ang hold, dili nato na siya ibutang, na-change na both ang index of new value, so meaning the same na siya. So, bago pa siya maging the same, ibutang sa nato siya sa hold ma-display na new num index kay wala pa man na change. So num index is now changed to new value. So before pa siya na change, ato sa siyang ibutang diri sa hold. At least ang hold will tell na mao na siya ang before siya na change, butang na to siya sa hold. Okay? Ayan. And then else valid or is invalid. So I guess tama ni siya. Okay, nalantay error. What happened? Ay, duha ang break. Okay. So, sa edit na value, search by value, this one is edit na, no? So, edit, and then this is edit. Okay, so in here, value po ang ihang enter a value to edit. Okay? So, itong buhaton dire is if value is equal to num a, so this time ato ang buhaton would be i-balik lang nato ni siya and then copy paste lang nato ni and then we put it here. Ayan. So and then instead na index atong buhaton a, okay? And then a. So and then break found is equal to 1. So if found is equal to 0, it's not found. The same, no? So yeah, that's what we do sa index. And then napay error sa baba because there daw enter new value for value. No. Enter new value for kasi pangitaon pa man nyo. So for num A. Yan. Enter new value for num A. Okay, so now we do the same for delete. So this time, kopyaon lang po nato ni siya, and then we do the same for delete. Okay, so question mo niya, ka-explain ako lang sa ning humanon. So this is for delete by index, delete by value. So there's no such thing as deletion in what they call this one, in array. Di na to siya ma-delete actually unless butang nimo as 0 or i-define nimo og 0 kung ma-delete siya. Pero of course we don't do that. Atong buhaton kasi medyo pangit na siya na technique katong ihimo nimo siyang 0. So instead atong buhaton is cascade delete. Okay? Unsa nang cascade delete, sir? Ang cascade delete is in ani. Okay? Tagaan ta mo idea sa cascade delete. Example, na kay value na 2, 4, 10, 6, and then 20. So, mo ni ang imuhang element sa array. So, example, i-delete nato ning 10. So, delete 10. So, when we delete 10, atong buhaton is i-cascade nato ang value ni 6 and 20 to the left, which is replacing the value of 10. So what we do is, ang mahitabo karon is when we delete 10, 2, 4, si 10 will be replaced by 6, and si 6 will be replaced by 20 or 20. So, kana si 20, naapa na si 20. Okay, duha na si 20, duplicate na siya. Pero, ang buhaton nato is mao ni ang ihang algo ha. Ang buhaton nato is decrement the value of I. So i-decrement nato ang value of I by 1 para si kaning 20 dili siya mawala but inaccessible na siya. So making the value of I, making the last value inaccessible. Pero nagya po na siya sa ato ang array. Di lang nato siya i-display og appeal. So para ang ma-display lang 2, 4, 6, 20. So sir, ang question ana, paano kung mag-insert kag new value? So kung mag-insert kag new value, kaning 20 nimo na katong last value mao to siya ang ma-change kasi nag-decrement naman tag value of I. Example, ang I man ani kay 1 2 3 4 5. So ang I 0 1 2 3 4 5. So ang I nimo ani would be 5. Okay? I is 5. So kay ang I nimo is 5. So same here, ang I nimo is 5, and para maging para ang access lang niya is katulang sani tong value na new value, which is dili la appeal ang katong last value kay pareha man to sila sa kaning value sa sunod na value after that. So i-decrement na to ang value sa I. Pero again nawala siya physically. I mean, wala na siya na-delete physically. Only that, dili na siya ma-access kay ang value sa I na to would now become 4. So, ang I na to right here would now become 4. So, pag i-loop na to siya, ang only thing na makita niya is kanilang 0, 1, 2, 3. Kutob ana. Hindi ba na to i-equal? So, mo nang 4, 0, 1, 2, 3 lang siya nga index ang makita. So, inana ang idea. So, now, in here, so start so enter from 0 to delete. Ayan. Okay. And then right here, so kay delete naman automatically idari atok bato. So num index is now deleted. Ayan. So ma-delete na to siya. And then as I've told you, para mawala to siya, kailangan nato kailangan nato og i-decrement ang index I. So, i-decrement nato ang index I by ana. So, pero paano nato i-cascade? So, kailangan nato loop. Okay? So, para makascade siya, kailangan nato loop. So, let's say int let's say A is equal to I index rather, and then A is less than I, and then A plus plus. Okay, so what we'll do here is i-store nato ang value. So num num A is equal to num A plus 1. So mo na akong giingon na cascading. Okay, notice that there is a part nga 2, 4. Ayan, ang i-access dire is kaning I na kaning value, say let's say for an instance i-delete natong 10. So ang index sa 10 is 0, 1, 2. So basically ang buhaton dire is A is equal to 2. Okay? So dili na nato to apilon ang 0 and 1. Diretso na ta sa 2 kaning which is 10. Tapos, so kay 2 man, so mag-start siya sa 2, padulong siya sa, which is ang index 2 kay 10, padulong siya sa 6 and 20. So ang buhaton niya, pag visit niya ng 10, 6, ug 20, would be katong value ni 10, mapulihan sa new value ni A plus 1, which is 6. And then, katong new value, kaning 20, which is mapuli siya sa 6. Okay, si 6 mupuli kay 10, si 20 mupuli kay 6. Now, I can see already an error probably here kasi moabot siya og 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 plus 1 is actually 5. So, which is walay index 5. So, dapat mag-minus 1 na tadaan dire. Okay? So I can actually prove to you that one na mag-error siya, pero para safe ato na siyang butagwan. Okay? Now, yeah, that's it for this one. Okay? So delete by index. Sa delete by value naman, so pangitaon niya diri blah blah blah, and then once makita na niya a new value man din no, enter value blah blah blah. So ano na lang nato break na lang nato na. Okay, so this time butang ta diri og loop na pod, kopyahon lang nato ni na loop. Ayan, kani siya na loop, copy here. So hold num is equal to or value na lang. Yeah. So if makita value. So value is now deleted. So assuming na nisulod man siya sa if condition, i-delete nato to siya na value. Okay? So this time kay A man ni, so imo na to ni siyang B. Yan. B and then B. So kay ang basihan nato for the value kung asa mag-start is A, dili ang index kay dito man siya sa by index. So instead pulihan nato siya A. So this time pulihan po nato ni B. Ayan. So para di mo malibog, in case lang, pwede ninyo na pulihan ninyo ni og B para tanan nimong loop sa pag-cascade kay A. Pero again, explain lang ako na I'm out of kaning parang time para i-edit na. Basta kay para dili confusing, mas okay kung pareha ni siya pag copy paste ni mo dra. Pero again, it's the same thing. So this is the cascading part. Tapos nimo by i-decrement nimo ang I. Okay? So yan, if found value is not found. If zero siya. So I guess we are done with the edit and delete. So i-check na to. Magbutang na lang ta og let's say, wait. Dako na to gamay ang usa ni. This one 5. Okay. So, napa ba mo? O gamay na lang nabilin. So, we have here, so add new. So, 12, 34, 10, 18, and then 15. So, display na to. So, muna itong array, add elements. So, okay naman ang search, no? So, dito sa edit. So, edit by index. So, let's have, let's say, index 2. Ayan. So, enter new value for 10. So, ang value daw ni index 2 kay 10. So, pulihan na to siya og 69. Okay. So, 10 is now changed to 69. So, check nato sa atuang main menu kung na-change na ba ang 10 to 69. So, na-change na ang 10 to 69. Okay? So now, mag-search, edit by value ta si 69, 69 atong i-search. So, i-edit. So, edit by value. So, let's say 69. So, enter new value for 69. Buhato na to siya, let's say 96. So, 69 is now changed to 96. Tuta sa bakta and then display. So, yan. 69 is now changed to 96. Okay? So, okay ato ang edit. Dirita sa delete. So, delete ta by index. So, i-delete na to ang index 2. So, dapat mawala si 96. So, 96 is now deleted. So, back ta and then display. So, nawala si 96. So, delete by value ta, tanggalon na to si 34. Okay? Tanggalon na to si 34. 34. So, 34 is now deleted. So, balik ta. So, ni-cascade na ni karon. So, si 34, na-delete siya, ni-cascade na siya. Si 18, gipulihan to 34. Si 15, gipulihan to niya si 18. Karon ang 15, nani siya sa, kaning 15, duha na di siya kabuok. Actually, duha na na. No? So, what would you mean, sir, na duha? Duha na na siya physical, dito sa array na to, sa sulod sa tong array. Pero, the only thing nag access na to is, wala na to ilabot ang katong last value. Kay gi mo tong idea sa I minus minus. So, I hope nasabtan to ninyo. So, again, kung mag-delete by katong delete ta, tapos wala na ko ni siya gi minus 1, asa naman to? Like kani wala na ko ni gi minus 1, mag-error ni atong program. Example ha, sa index man no, delete by index. So, enter number 3, enter number 5, and then mag-delete ta index. So, let's say 1. Ayan. So, oops. Wala mo dahil nag-error. Wait, add ta ha. 5. Wait. So, dito ba ko nagtanggal? Yes, dito ko nagtanggal a minus 1. Okay. Pwede ra dahil wala. Kaya man ko nag-equals, pero check na to ha. So, this is search by, delete by index. So, delete by index. So, let's say 2. Ayan. So, this is what I told you na nag-error na siya. Kasi array index out of bounds. So, dapat katujud siya na ni negative or minus 1. Kasi pag add, manguna na plus 1, 4 plus 1, 5. So, index 5. Wala man tayong index 5 based sa elements nato na based sa elements nato on 5 na size sa array, which is 0 to 4 lang na dapat. Okay, so I guess that's it. Any question? I'm not gonna be giving you the code. I want you to work for it. So, pwede nyo ni tanawon ang video para, so, iano na ako siya. Yan. para sa tanaw nyo sa video. So next time atong buhaton would be instead na number, mga string atong i-manipulate. Tapos i-apply nato diri ang methods, no? So syempre na mga codes diri na balik-balik. So kailangan nato siya iputang into methods. Okay? So do you have any questions so far? May question, guys?
Wala na, sir.
Okay, sige. So I guess we call it a day. Thank you for staying this long. And I appreciated that sa mga nagstay. And I guess that's it. And we call it a day. So have a great day ahead. And bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Eat well,
Bye,
sir.
sir.
Eat well. Sige, later.